Hailey and I'm a certified dog trainer, and before we get started I do want to take the time to thank you guys for being here, because whether or not you continue to train with me, just your presence here says something about your commitment to your dog. 4 million dogs enter shelters every year, and of those, a third of them are euthanized. Does anybody know the number one reason that dogs end up in shelters?
Aging?
No?
People just don't know how to train them.
That's right. More dogs end up being euthanized after being relinquished to a shelter than any other natural cause of death. So it's owners like you that give hope to a society with such an overwhelming population of homeless pets. So thank you. Thank you. Let's get started. The handouts in front of you on the first 2 pages, you'll find a list of some of the comprehensive training programs I offer as group classes. I also do in-home sessions and on-site private sessions, because not one training program, it's not one size fits all. So whether your dog's 8 weeks old or 8 years old, I guarantee we can find something that works for you. And if you're not sure, when you're looking at it, if you think that something might work for you, but you want to try before you buy, we can work something like that out too. I can teach you a myriad of different techniques, all under one behavioral training philosophy, and that's positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is a word that gets thrown around a lot, but I want to go in a little deeper, because it's the foundation of behavior theory, learning theory. The reason that it works is it's based on actual science. So, as you can see, there's 4 quadrants containing positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, and negative punishment. And we can't look at positive, it's as something as like good or bad. It's adding or subtracting something, like a positive or a negative number. So when we add something bad, we call it positive punishment, but it's not like positive punishment, it's just adding something bad. Punishments decrease the chance of a behavior to happen again, and reinforcers increase the likelihood of a behavior happening again. So I already told you I like to focus on positive reinforcement, and I also use negative punishment. Some examples are of positive reinforcement. If Zuko does something that I want him to do, I reward him for that. It increases the chance of the behavior happening again, because he wants another chance to earn a reward. I also use negative punishment, which is taking away something good when he displays a behavior that I don't want. So if I'm telling Zuko to sit and he's jumping all over me, I might turn my back, and now he's lost his opportunity to earn his reward. So adding something good or taking away something good. Other trainers, as in some of the old school techniques, you might add something bad. If Zuko's pulling on his leash, I might add a leash correction, which, because it's a punishment, is supposed to decrease the likelihood of a behavior happening. Negative reinforcement is a little tricky. It's taking away something bad. So we're trying to increase the likelihood of a behavior happening again. If Zuko's doing something bad, I'm going to apply a positive punishment, and then the minute that I stop and he starts doing something good, I'm going to release, if we're doing a leash correction, for example. If Zuko's pulling on his leash, I can apply a leash correction, and the minute that he sits down, I let it go, because it's going to increase the chance that he tries to avoid whatever I'm doing to him. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, like I said, the reason that I prefer these methods is because not only am I training Zuko not only am I training him to display the behavior that I want, at the same time, in the same session, I'm training him that he can trust me. I'm training as a benevolent leader. I'm training him that all kinds of good things come from me. I'm teaching him that training is fun. He's just sitting in his kennel and look at all these great things that he gets. He's doing it because he wants to. It's not begrudging. It's not because he's afraid of what's going to happen to him. He's doing it because this is really, really fun. I make him feel good. All the things that he wants comes from me, as long as he does what he's supposed to do. And it's okay if he makes mistakes. He knows it's okay if he makes mistakes when he's learning. I'm not gonna do anything to harm him. I'm just gonna make sure that I can guide him to do to display the correct behavior again. So, the biggest difference I think between balanced trainers or positive trainers and the older style of training is adding corrections and physical aversions during the actual stage of learning, which isn't really fair. Zuko, come here. If I tell Zuko, go to your bedroom. Oh, he already knows that actually. So, come here, Zuko. Zuko, shake. I don't teach my dogs to shake. We'll get into that later, but I don't teach my dogs to shake. So if I say shake, 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 he doesn't know what he's doing. And it's not fair for me to punish him because he didn't come speaking English. It's like me saying, we're not speaking the same language. It's not fair for me to get mad at you because you don't know what it means. But if I say, Zuko, come, that's good. If I say, Zuko, Kano, good. He knows exactly what to do. I want to talk a little bit more about crate training. The holidays are coming up, and I think this is a really invaluable tool. So, when used properly, crates can prevent unwanted puppy chewing. They're an indispensable part of any potty training plan I would ever recommend. But they're just really good at managing too when you can't supervise your dog. So there's two important things to remember when you're crate training. The two most important things, the first one being the size of the crate. This is a mansion. When Zuko first started getting crate trained, it was obviously, he was a lot smaller, but the crate was a lot more proportioned to his size also. It's important that when you first pick out a crate, when you're first starting crate training in the early stages, that you choose a crate that's about 1.5 times the size of your dog's body. Come here, buddy. Minus the tail. So, if we look right here, if Zuko, come here, it's okay. He wants to go in his kennel. But so from his nose to his butt without his tail, you want to do 1.5 times the size. He should be able to stand up completely, turn around comfortably, but we don't want it to be too big because that can encourage him to maybe, if he's not house trained, he could pee in one corner and then lay in the other, which isn't good. We never want dogs to pee in their crate. That's going to undermine every training program we're ever trying to accomplish. So once he's reliably house trained, once he's older, once he loves his crate, then we can do puppy castle type stuff. The second most important thing is time. It's really not fair to leave a dog in his crate for hours and hours and hours on end just because you can. No puppies in boxes. It's not humane. So if you have a young dog, the easiest way to tell is you take the number of months your dog is old and add 1. That's the number of hours that you can leave your dog in a crate. So obviously it stops when your dog is like a year old. You can't leave your dog. You should never leave your dog in a crate for more than 6 hours at a time. So let's say your dog's 2 months old. He's 8 weeks when you get him. That means he can stay in his crate for 3 hours. Once he's 3 months old, we could move it up to 4 hours. We want to gradually increase time. But when we first start crate training, it's important that we don't just throw him, oh, he's 2 months old, like let's throw him in his crate for 3 hours and see what happens. It should be introduced gradually because we don't want to, we can run into a lot of problems with separation anxiety and boredom and actually create problems and undermine what we're trying to accomplish. So, like I said about the holidays, it's really nice for the dog to have a safe place to go when you have a lot of more traffic in your house than your dog's used to the rest of the year, or maybe your guests are leaving their wine glasses on tables and he's knocking it over with his tail, and if it's for your benefit, this is something that we want to get him used to before stuff like this happens, so he can be out and socialize with your guests and then go have a nice place to just relax. There's a lot of different ways that you can teach your dog to like their crate. Zuko already likes his crate. We've been working on this for a while. So some of the things that I do is give him special toys that he only gets in his crate when he's being good. So if he wants to come out of his crate, I would just take it away. And then if he decides that he wants to go back into his crate, I can give it right back to him. This is a Kong, which is one of my favorite training tools. This is another one Zuko really loves. It's the Nylabone dinosaur. It's got lots of textures and stuff that are really fun for puppies when they're teething. And they're not very, like, some dogs think they're fun like this, but everything's more fun when it's yummy. So if you want to put peanut butter inside, the actual point of the Kong is to have like 3 layers of treats, so you could put like a dry treat, and then maybe like some frozen applesauce, and then peanut butter on top. I a lot of times get lazy and just put peanut butter in it because all the dogs that I come in contact with love peanut butter. Another thing about the dinosaur, and I think all the Nylabone toys, you can actually boil them in chicken broth to make them taste really yummy, and that gets your dog interested in it, and then he'll realize how much fun it is to chew on, and you're golden. So I'm gonna give Zuko this one because we're gonna move on to a little bit something else, huh? He gets a treat for being such a good boy in his kennel. And we're gonna move on with Calvin to actually training a dog to go to bed. So Calvin is a year old. I've had him for 6 months, and he likes his crate, but he's not like Zuko, just chilling. Calvin. So when we're first starting, very good boy. You're such a good boy. I'm gonna have a treat in my hand. He already knows I have a treat. But if you're new to the food lure, you put a treat in the palm of your hand and close your fingers on it. You can put it right in front of your dog's nose so he can smell it. Dogs learn nose, eyes, ears. So that's why hand signals work so well. Like I said, dogs don't come speaking English. It really doesn't matter what words you use. If you say it in a fun voice, it's a lot more appealing than if you're using your normal voice for a lot of dogs. So once he touches my hand, I say good, which is my marker for that he got it right. That's how I wean off treats, by the way. And then he gets it. So he knows that I have a treat in my hand, and I'm gonna put the treat right here. I'm gonna say go to bed, and then he gets the treat for being in his crate. Good boy, Calvin. And then when he comes out, I can just praise him. Bedtime, Calvin. Bedtime, Calvin. Very good. So I'm using a higher value reward for him going into his crate, the food, and then when he comes back out, good boy, Calvin. Since it made that noise, we're gonna give him an extra treat just to make it less relevant and still fun. Bedtime. He might be a little bit scared of this noisy crate. Bedtime, Calvin. Come on, baby. And if this doesn't work, then go ahead and get it on his nose. Show him what you have. And then I can actually be able to lure him into his crate, huh? I don't like touching the dog. One option is I could physically pick him up and just put him in his crate, but then he's not thinking about it. Like it's a lot. It means a lot more when he's learning for him to actually have to do it himself and work it out himself, because then he's committing it to memory. He remembers the process, and he's more likely to do it again than me having to constantly just shove him into his crate. All right, well, Calvin's a little bit afraid of the crate now, so I'm gonna give him this yummy, yummy Kong, which is even better than Wiener's, huh? And he's gonna go to bedtime. Bedtime, Calvin. Come on, buddy. And when both boys, come on, good boy, very good boy, Calvin. And now that they're both settled in their crates, I'm gonna stop now and answer some specific questions because I wanna make sure that I'm not just overwhelming you with information that isn't relevant. So, what questions do you have?
At an older age with a mixed breed dog, is it still something that I can do to get him to do what I want him to do when I want him to do it?
You mean a training program? But
Yes.
It's never too late to start a training program. The only things you need for training are a motivation. That's the number one, and an increase or a decrease in a behavior of punishment or a reinforcer. So we just have to find out what your dog really, really likes, which could be toys, it could be treats, it could be you. For Zuko, it's kind of it's kind of half and half whether he likes me or treats better. It depends on the day. But finding what motivates your dog, that's the only thing it takes for him to learn. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it did, thank you.
Did you?
What's a good way to treat or to train your dog to come to you? My dog doesn't come to me when I call.
How? Okay,
What kind
this
of?
is a super, super common one. A lot of times, when you're first training come, I don't want to discourage you, but a lot of times people make a mistake when they're first teaching their dog to come, and they say, puppy come, puppy come, puppy come, and the puppy's doing whatever the puppy wants to do. So now, she's doing what she wants to do, and she's hearing come, 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 and she doesn't have to do anything. And all of a sudden, this word just doesn't mean anything. It's irrelevant to her. So, one good thing, a good idea is to not train it, not use the cue word until you know that you can get her to do the behavior. And this goes for anything. That's why I use food lures, because when I'm luring, I take my treat and I get it on the dog's nose, and if I'm teaching sit, I'm going to do a sit motion and make sure that the dog knows that this is what I want him to do. Nose, eyes, ears. Don't add the word until you know that you're going to get the behavior. So if your dog already has become numb to the word come, you could always change it. You could say it in a different language. You could say banana. You could say Kaya, banana, banana, and make that her new come word. In order to make your dog to come, in order to make your dog come to you when called, like I said when you're training, you shouldn't do it unless you can make them. I would use like a 30-foot lead. You can let her go explore whatever at a distance from you, and then when you call her, you can actually like reel her in. Another good thing, especially for excitable puppies, is when you're saying come, a lot of times we're come, 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 and we want to get the dog next to us, so we're going to decrease the distance ourselves. Don't do that. Sometimes you could just run away and they might start chasing you, right? So there's a lot of different things we could try, and those are all things that I would go over in my classes. Anything else? All right, well, thank you. Is anybody, what would it take to make you want to invest in your dog today? Did I answer all of your questions? Is everybody ready to close?
Yes.
Yep. Thank you. That was a good close, but that's okay, I'm done.